authentication, authorization, and accounting. These pillars form the core upon which all subsequent concepts and structures are developed. Delving deeper into these principles is a worthwhile investment for a thorough understanding. Let's examine each principle individually. Authentication involves confirming a user's identity by verifying their claimed identity against some form of evidence unique to that individual, which is challenging to falsify or replicate. Successful validation of such identifiers, like a password, grants access, whereas failure results in denial. Conceptually, authentication can be viewed as a dual-component process, typically involving something inherent to the individual and something in their possession. Future discussions will explore the nuances of authentication and various methods to affirm one's identity. The essence of authentication is the necessity to establish one's identity convincingly. Authorization, on the other hand, pertains to the privileges a user is granted access to within a system. It's essentially about granting permissions to access specific resources or data. It's crucial to understand that authorization occurs only after successful authentication. For instance, after logging into a banking website, authentication, you gain access to your account details, authorization, which signifies permission to access that data. Effective authorization controls are vital for organizations to manage access to sensitive information, ensuring users have access only to what they need, thereby enhancing security measures significantly. The third principle, accounting, involves tracking and recording the usage of resources by authenticated and authorized users. Often referred to as monitoring, it includes logging activities such as session durations, data interactions, and access locations within the system. The significance of accounting lies in its ability to verify that the access provided is being used appropriately and to detect unauthorized access attempts. Regular monitoring is especially critical for safeguarding the most vulnerable systems from potential cyber attacks. Bringing these concepts together, consider a workplace scenario. An employee badge serves as a means of authentication, allowing entrance to the office. Swiping the badge to access specific areas is a form of authorization. Regular security reports on entry logs serve as accounting, ensuring only permitted access. In the initial phase of access control, known as identification, an individual simply asserts their identity without providing any concrete evidence. This stage involves merely claiming an identity, without any verification, thus it's possible for the claim to be inaccurate or false. Consider a real-life scenario where you're trying to enter a secured office building for a meeting. You approach the security desk and announce your name. That's identification. The next phase, authentication, requires the individual to substantiate their claimed identity to the access control system's satisfaction. Using the office building scenario, this might involve showing your driver's license to the security personnel to verify your identity. However, authentication alone does not grant access. The system must also determine if you have the right to access the requested resources. This is where authorization comes into play. In the physical scenario, the security personnel would verify your appointment against a schedule to confirm your access rights. It's crucial to distinguish between identification and authentication stages, understanding the specific mechanisms associated with each. These concepts are not just limited to physical access but also apply in the digital realm. Typically, digital identification involves entering a username, which might be derived from your name. Authentication could then require a password, among other methods, which we will explore later in this book. Digital authorization usually involves checking against access control lists to determine the permissions assigned to a user or a group. Access control systems encompass identification, authentication, and authorization processes as users seek access to resources. Additionally, these systems include accounting features, enabling administrators to monitor user activities and reconstruct events from logs, a suite of functions often referred to as AAA. When designing access control systems, it's essential to consider the various mechanisms for executing these tasks and ensure they are adaptable to environments that integrate cloud-based and on-premises resources, supporting a comprehensive identity and access management system across diverse infrastructures. In summary, the triad of authentication, authorization, and accounting constitutes the cornerstone of identity and access management, enabling organizations to secure access to resources effectively and verify the integrity of that access.